Good morning, folks. Welcome to our video. It is the 29th of January 2018, and it's getting harder and harder to do the news. It appears that a lot of the truthful news stories are being erased by Google, and a lot of the fake news stories put out initially by Serco through the Washington Post and the New York Times are getting harder and harder to find out if they're true or not. My truth meter, my BS meter is going off enormously fast on a lot of these stories, and so each story has to be vetted, and that may take an hour to vet one story. The lies are skyrocketing across the media, not only in the left-wing media, but as the right-wing media tries to gain hits, they just don't tell the truth. It's real tough now to find the truth, but here you get more truthful news in 15 minutes than anywhere else on the planet. Subscribe, discover, never stop learning. Pray we can stay on the air. The lefty elites are now beginning to fall. And this is, of course, brought to you by Trade Genius. And you'll learn a little bit more about why we deal with Trade Genius in the story, but the economy is shifting so quickly. We're seeing across the world that more elite lefties are going down. God has explained to them exactly what needed to be done over the last 10 years, and they not only worked to reject what he had to say, they worked on eliminating or pushing down the messengers. God says enough. They can no longer hide behind the aprons of Lucifer, these little cowards. He's already lost. Now it's time for a fundamental change, not only in the banking world, but among those who run the banking system. It's the elites that are going to be changed now. And as you hear this, God says the sun is going to change again. NASA will no longer be able to fake it anymore. Now you'll see huge changes among the elites. There's about 10,000 of these elites worldwide. And they face removal from not only their position, but from the planet itself. Because they have lied and murdered enough. For 10 years they've been given the messages. God says time is up. This will cause a fundamental change in how business is now conducted across the planet, as these elite Luciferian human sacrificing people are removed or neutralized. Today, for example, we're looking at a mayor. I love this picture. Florida Mayor Joy Cooper. Look at that look. Apparently, President Trump owned some hotels there, and 6 years ago, he began some investigations against this city for accepting bribes to do everything. And of course, the FBI sat on it and sat on it and sat on it, because under the last president, they weren't able to prosecute people for bribes if they were Nazi Democrats. So Florida Mayor Joyce Cooper from Hallandale Beach, which is just south of Mar-a-Lago, apparently the FBI sent Russian agents in and gave money to this elite campaign funding in exchange for assistance in pushing through a construction project. The bust also exposes, we can call this the Dunkin' Donuts case, it also exposes $8,000 that was stuffed into a Dunkin' Donuts bag that ended up as a check from 2 Russian donors. This is the Dunkin' Donut test. Apparently the FBI has thousands of cases, tens of thousands of cases just like this. And since this affected President Trump personally, and he knew what was going on there, he pushed this case through to see what happens. This gal is definitely in deep, deep trouble. So, and in another case involving a lefty, we all know Mayor Joe de Blasio from New York City, right? Well, apparently a man named Hasandra Singh went in there and was renting a restaurant space from the city of New York because they own just about everything. They've seized a lot of the properties. So they leased the properties out, and he bribed Mayor Joe de Blasio of New York, or claims he bribed him with money in order to get a favorable lease. The FBI confirmed this, but they have not brought up charges against Mayor Joe de Blasio yet. Very interesting. Very interesting case. We're going to watch this. The walls are closing in on the lefty Luciferians very quickly. What is amazing about these stories is you find a story like this, and then you try to vet it. You try and find out if it's true. And that's what takes the time in these stories now. Is this a true story or is this a fake story? The initial story was that Mayor de Blasio pled guilty for bribery, but that's not what happened. It was Hasandra Singh that pled guilty of bribery, quietly and secretly in a court, not the mayor. No charges have been brought up against Mayor Joe de Blasio, or Bill de Blasio, sorry. We'll wait and see what happens on this one, but the walls are closing in on these elites. God is closing them down. They have listened. They've had a decade to respond. They have not responded. It's done. And as more emails and texts are being brought forward, the collusions between the former FBI directors Comey, Mueller, and President Obama are clear, as they tried to do two things. As soon as President Trump took office, while he was the Republican nominee, they tried to take him down, and even after he was president, they tried to raise a coup against him. These are the three people who've tried to crack this planet in half. This treasonous coup has now been exposed, as Mueller, Comey, and Obama, well, we'll see what happens. They may go down. God is now exposing everything, from the elite sacrifices of humans to their attempts to destroy this planet. It's all coming out. God says, enough. You will be exposed, and you will be dealt with. So says the I am that I am, who was and is to come. And keep praying that those elite lefties repent or are neutralized immediately. And in other news, here's George Soros, number 2. Notice the big bags under his eyes. Yeah, well, he went to this meeting at Davos. See, he's on the phone. She's looking at the phone. He's asleep, looking at the phone. They're all looking at the phone. Nobody was listening to George Soros, number 2. His NGOs are about to be defunded completely as the government cuts off the funding sources to corporations like the Carlyle Group and the Ford Foundation. Aww, too bad, so sad, touche. And in a very outrageous news story, has nothing to do with politics, here they are at Costco in San Diego, bringing pork in. They just grabbed the shopping cart and put the dead carcasses. No, as I recall, she has gloves on because the meat's cold. Oh, they killed the story. See, this is what's happening all over the place. So we come down here, and we pull the story up again. And they won't allow you to see it. Anyway, they brought meat in the shopping carts into Costco. Apparently, these meat deliverers just put the dead pork in some unwashed shopping carts and then hauled the meat into the stores. So let's see if we can bring that up again. Oh, did they allow it this time? You see, they're not allowing it. There are certain stories now that are being erased. Apparently, there's nothing hidden that will not be revealed, but they're erasing everything off the internet as fast as you show it to people. If you're still a veteran, see, they eliminated the George Soros story. If you're a veteran and you're watching the Super Bowl, you got rocks in your brain. I mean, you're 3 bricks shy of a full load. The elevator doesn't go up all the way. They erased that one. The NFL rejected unbelievable what they're doing. The NFL rejected an advertisement that would show the American flag and ask people to stand during the national anthem. And apparently they erased that story from the internet as soon as we brought it up. You know, we're being lied at all levels. Another example of the lies is the latest book of Jane's fighting ships. See, you can't even bring the story up now. We might be able to bring up a story that's 75 years old, though. There it is, a 75-year-old story. Wow. Google hasn't erased it yet. We're being lied to at all levels. Another example of the lies is the latest Jane's book of fighting ships. It says the fastest U.S. warships travel at about 35 knots. Except those that are in the secret Navy, of course. Will they allow us to show you hydrofoil? Boy, I'm telling you what. I've never seen anything like this. Please pray. Ooh, they won't even allow us to type the words. What you're seeing, and we've got virtual shield up. They're just erasing the stories. They're putting timers on it and then erasing the stories. This is a hydrofoil. It's what a lot of ships run on. It's what the U.S. Navy runs. They're very quick ships. But in 1941, The Iowa-class battleship went 33 knots. The Capitani Romani class went 50 miles an hour, 43 knots. This is in 1941. And the La Fantastique class of French destroyers were traveling at 52 miles an hour, 43 knots, or 45 knots. So when you read a story about a U.S. naval ship top speed of 30 knots, you're being, or maybe 35 miles an hour, you're being lied to at all levels. This cruiser was traveling at 50 miles an hour in 1941 and 42. And we're being told that the top speed of a Navy ship is about 35, and he's going 50. Please pray that the lies stop. Please pray for President Trump's safety, and those who stand in his way will fall to the wayside, so God has said it, so it shall be. And please also pray that those blocking the stories on Google are neutralized immediately, and those stories are brought back for people to read. We need your prayers. You make the difference. God bless to each and every one of you. And what you just saw was what's happening all over the net right now as stories are being erased that point fingers towards those conducting human sacrifices and are out way to the left. Those spitting in God's eyes are now being brought up and tried to be made heroes on the internet. Please pray that those who are doing that are neutralized immediately. God bless to each and every one of you. Thank you for watching, folks. We love you for coming. You make the difference, and good night.